This Pennywise Recaps, and today we're reviewing the drama thriller Hard Candy. Get ready for incredible plot twists. Haley and Jeff met in a chat room. She is 14 and he is 32. Jeff is a photographer, and his portfolio includes many pictures of different girls. Their chat was quite ambiguous and filled with numerous hints of intimacy. Despite this, Haley agrees to meet Jeff in a cafe. They agree on a time and place, and Haley arrives at the meeting before her much older date. While they are flirting at the table, a missing persons notice for a girl named Donna can be seen on the wall. After drinking coffee, Jeff buys Haley a t-shirt as a gift and tells her that he has a rare recording of her favorite band's concert at home. However, he can't invite her to his place, so he offers to send her the video by email. However, Haley insists that she should visit his house, and Jeff finally agrees. Haley is confident that she has played it safe enough and can now go home to a stranger because they met in a public place. If anything happens to her, Jeff will be found quickly. During the car ride, Haley is as happy as a child. At Jeff's house, he offers her a drink, but Haley refuses because she tries not to drink something that someone else has prepared, especially in this situation. At school, they were taught not to drink anything they didn't make themselves. She goes to the fridge, finds some vodka and orange juice, and makes cocktails for herself and Jeff. Then they start talking, and Haley learns something about Jeff's past, including that he once had fun with his model when he was younger. The walls of Jeff's house are decorated with photos of his models, and when Haley takes one of the photos, Jeff reacts strongly. The girl took a photo of Janelle, for whom Jeff seems to have strong feelings. When they are significantly intoxicated, Haley asks him to take her photos. At first, Jeff refuses, but Haley manages to persuade him. Jeff feels sick and dizzy. When he starts to take the girl's picture, he changes dramatically in his face and starts to command Haley. Then he falls down and loses consciousness. Jeff regains consciousness and realizes that Haley has tied him to a chair. She confessed that she had slipped some kind of drug into his cocktail. Haley thinks there's a reason he has so many pictures of young girls on his walls. She is sure that Jeff wanted to be closer to them, and he did it with them after the photo shoot. She figured out when his neighbors would be out and made an appointment for him on that day so that no one would disturb them. In the chat, Haley deliberately tested Jeff to see if he was really interested in girls younger than him, and she had enough evidence to prove that Jeff was the one for her. However, Haley is interested in real proof, photos or videos. So she searches the house and finds letters from Janelle. She and Jeff have been corresponding for some time, but she's not really interested in the letters. After examining the browser history, Haley realizes that Jeff recently downloaded some pictures from the internet, but they are not on the laptop. She searches the entire house and finds a gun under the bed, which she decides not to touch for now. Then Haley finds a hidden safe. She is sure that this is where Jeff keeps the most important evidence. Jeff tries to distract her by talking to her, thinking he can convince her to untie the ropes. But Haley doesn't give in. She's too smart to be fooled. Haley enters various combinations of codes and manages to open the safe. All the numbers she entered were somehow connected to Janelle. Inside are explicit photos, a disc with a recording, and one photo of a girl in clothes that Jeff took himself. When Haley let her guard down, Jeff kicked her, and while she writhed in pain, he moved into the bedroom in a chair. There, he took the gun and returned to the living room, but Haley was gone. She attacked him from behind and wrapped cling film around his face. Jeff tried to struggle, but his opponent was too strong. When he lost consciousness, Haley removed the film to prevent him from dying, and then dragged him to the table and tied him up again. When Jeff regained consciousness, he discovered that he was not wearing any pants. Haley hints that she is punishing him for the murder of Donna, the girl who disappeared. However, Jeff denied everything. He was ready to surrender to the authorities and tell them everything Haley demanded. But she realized that the punishment provided by law would be too lenient for such a man. She wanted to do something worse to him. While Haley was waiting for the right moment, she wrote a letter to Janelle to annoy Jeff and make him suffer. Jeff tried his best to talk her out of her plan. He offered her to take his money and equipment, but in exchange, leave him the most important thing. But Haley wasn't interested in his money. She was more interested in taking the most important things from grown men. Haley had everything ready and was getting down to business. But before she did, she took a moment to bring her camera and connect it to the TV. She wanted Jeff to admire what she was about to do. While she was gone, Jeff tried to reach for his phone, which was lying nearby, but he couldn't because Haley came back too quickly. She told him that she had left the phone there on purpose as a decoy. Finally, Haley began to carry out her brutal plan, and in the process, she vividly described to Jeff what finally broke him psychologically. When it was all over and she got her revenge, Jeff didn't care what happened to him anymore. However, Haley gave him some useful advice on how to recover from it all and then went to take a shower. Jeff tried to free himself, and he succeeded. He pulled out first one arm and then the other, untied himself, and realized that the girl hadn't done anything to him and everything was still in place. Realizing that he was unharmed, he grabbed his phone and wanted to call the police but changed his mind. Instead, Jeff took the scalpel that Haley was working with and went to her shower. But Haley had foreseen this scenario as well. She purposely left Jeff alone so that he could get free and attack her. She had a plan for that. She hit Jeff with a stun gun. It didn't work right away because he resisted, but she managed to overpower him. While Jeff was unconscious, Haley erased all traces of her presence in his house. Jeff was tough, and when he came out of the bathroom, she had to shock him again. When Haley finished cleaning, she wrote a farewell letter on behalf of Jeff. She called Janelle, introduced herself as a police officer, and asked her to come to Jeff's house. Haley then placed a chair in the living room, dragged an unconscious Jeff in, lifted him onto the chair, and put a noose around his neck. She also tied him to the chair as a safety net so he wouldn't fall off until he regained consciousness. When Jeff came to, there was a knock at the door. It was a neighbor who brought cookies that her daughter had baked. However, it was just a pretext. She really wanted to know what was going on. A few minutes ago, she noticed Haley on the roof of the house. The girl made a convincing excuse for her neighbor, claiming to be Jeff's niece, and explained that he had been sick, and she was climbing on the roof to fix a hole. Jeff heard their conversation and realized that the neighbor was suspicious. He hoped she would call the police and he would be released soon. However, Haley was not going to wait for the police to arrive. She offered Jeff a choice. If he voluntarily jumped off the chair, she would destroy all evidence of his heinous crimes. If he refused, Janelle would come and find out the truth about him. Jeff continued to deny any involvement in Donna's murder, but Haley was beyond convincing. In desperation, he grabbed her with his legs and tried to eliminate her, but he was not strong enough, and Haley escaped. Jeff broke free and ran after her. Haley lured him to the roof, where she had already prepared his punishment. Jeff came with a knife, but Haley was holding a gun. She was not going to shoot him. When Haley had gone up to the roof earlier, she knew that Jeff would follow her, and she had anticipated that they would both end up here. She had tied a rope with a loop to the roof beforehand. Haley offered Jeff the same choice. Either he would put on the noose and jump off the roof himself, or Janelle would find out the truth about him. In desperation, Jeff admitted that he hadn't killed Donna, but had watched his friend do it. Haley replied that when his friend was in Jeff's shoes, he claimed that Jeff was the killer. Meanwhile, Janelle drove up to Jeff's house. With no other choice, Jeff put on a noose and jumped down. At the last moment, Haley told him that she wasn't going to cover up his crime, and Janelle would find out who he really was. After finishing off Donna's second killer, Haley calmly packed up and left Jeff's house. Thank you for being with us. Subscribe to the channel like us, and be sure to click on the bell to stay up to date with our new videos.